fucking lying.
Yeah, Nate. Nate. Justice for Nate.
Fuck yeah. I would not bring Sav home to my family and friends. They'd be like, what the fuck?
I think because her last relationship was quite toxic, she's going to take some training.
There's nothing I like more than justice. Yes, I love love, but I love justice, and I love the fact that Nate was vindicated for what he said about Lucinda, and now Lucinda knows the snake she's laying in bed with. I love the fact that Nakia stood in her truth, and she was able to take ownership of what she said and what she did. I loved the fact that everybody was able to see the truth about the connection between Kale and Tyra, which was cute. And then Lucinda, Zach, Sav, and Trent. I think we deserve to see more. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 5, Episode 20. Really sad that Tasia's gone. I would trade Tasia for Chloe, Sav, or even Lucinda, because I liked her. She was just a bubbly, peace-loving person, and it's a pity she didn't find her person and allowed Reed to play her, even though people warned her about Reed. It's sad. Anyway, so the Islanders are just chilling, and it's nice to see. I remember when Ollie left, I felt sad for Nate because I didn't know who he could sort of have as a companion outside of the girl he's in a couple with. So to see him and Andy, and to see his relationship that he's built with Andy and Kale is amazing. I know I'm a Nate stan, but it's nice to see that if Zach is going to have his sidekick, it's also nice to see that the good guys also have their own sidekicks, and yet they're so peaceful and loving, and seeing them sit with their girls and just have peaceful conversations. Obviously they were reflecting about their elimination, and Andy was like, you know, this is not a good thing to be asked to send someone home. But at the same time, I remember I forgot to mention this yesterday at the recoupling. Andy was like, this man has got so many lives. He's an escape artist, isn't he? Talking about Trent and the fact that he was able to dodge another elimination. And so I don't know. On his part, Trent goes and has a chat with Sav. What do I think about that conversation? I think he's just humoring Sav. I think he's going to use Sav and play with Sav just so he can stay in the villa. Sav was saying, oh, I've just discovered I've got feelings. Who do you have feelings for, Sav? Make it make sense. You were chasing Andy, you realized Andy is not it, and Andy's not going to be entertaining you. So you're back to the guy who said, no, you're not his type, you're very crass, you know, he wouldn't be able to take you amongst his friends and his families because you would embarrass him because of the things you say and the things you do. So what makes you think that he's going to change his mind suddenly and like you? Make it make sense. That relationship doesn't make sense at all. That's a relationship of convenience, a relationship that will keep both of them in the villa, and the sooner they both understand that and they get on the same page, the less likely somebody's going to get hurt. And Sav most probably, I would like to think she's smarter than that, but hey, it is what it is. Seeing sort of Kale and Tyra have a conversation, now I see why we don't really get to see as much of them as we should. Because I think they're a peace-loving, you know, couple that are just exploring their connection, wanting to know how strong, you know, they feel about each other, and wanting to plan the future. And this is not enough toxicity for the producers, because even Nate and Georgia, once they got on the same page, we started to see less and less of them. We only saw a lot of them when there was the Trent triangle. And for Trent to be washing, I don't get why those boys wash butt naked. I've watched Love Island USA, I've watched Love Island UK. I've never seen anyone wash themselves outside butt naked with cameras rolling. It is what it is. The Islanders go to sleep, and it's cute to see because everybody's in what they consider to be a romantic couple. So it's cute to see the couples making out and just being relaxed, and there's no toxicity, there's no drama in the villa. Everybody is settled, they're making out in bed, and so that was cute. And in the morning, the guys decided, well, it seemed like it was Zach's suggestion that they make breakfast for the girls. I think the producers came up with it, because why else would they have those many croissants out for every single person? So I think this was staged. And It was cute. It was cute because everybody made different types of sandwiches. Some had toast, some had. I think it just depended on what your partner liked. And given the fact that Trent has been in a couple with Sav the longest in the villa, I'm surprised he doesn't know that she's vegan. I'm surprised he doesn't know what she likes and what she doesn't like. So the fact that he put something that he knows she doesn't eat and she ended up not eating does not make sense to me. It shows me that he's not making any efforts to get to know Sav. He's not making any efforts to sort of progress that relationship. And so it was cute to see once breakfast was finished. Oh, Reed is going to be Reed. The fact that he was being fed the breakfast, whether it's because, Chloe didn't like it or whatever, and Andy had to call him out, like, how did you swing it? How did you make breakfast for her? And yet she is waiting on you hand and foot and sort of feeding you, literally. Make it make sense. And he was like, there was an opening and I took it. I think Reed is such a charmer. I think Reed is good with his words. I think he's got a cute smile. And I think that's what sort of dazzles the ladies. And at times they end up doing or saying things that they would otherwise not say yes to, just because he finds his way to sort of snake himself into certain situations. Anyway, the islanders get ready and they go outside and they're just relaxing. And that's cute to see that there's no drama. But obviously the producers want drama because it's still villain era. And they decide to send a text message to say there'll be a movie night. It's interesting to see once everybody finds out what's happening, everybody going through their Rolodex. And I loved Nakia. I know people feel some type of way about her, but I love the fact that she stands in her truth, 10 toes deep. She doesn't care whether it offends people. Do I think she's cruel? No, I think she's brutally honest. I think it depends on whether you're a sensitive person or not. And if she's going to give, as long as she's able to take what she's able to give, then that's fine with me. I don't care. Because if she's going to be snarky with me, I'm going to be snarky with her, and then the two of us will move on. That's fine. I would rather somebody tell me the truth than lie to my bag, like Zach. So it's interesting to see everybody going to damage control. The fact that Kale was quick to tell, Tyra that, I might have said something about you and the outside world. And she took it for what it was and she just laughed it off. Georgia was asking Nate, have you said anything? And Nate hasn't really said anything nasty. I know. My love for Nate makes me blind and I have blind spots. But he really hasn't said anything malicious. And he really hasn't been mean to the girls that he's been coupled up with. Even when he voted to save, Georgia, and he said to her, even if you hadn't come back to me, I was never going to send you home. That's the type of person that he is, that when Tia was being horrible and malicious and saying all the nasty things, he still saved her. Same goes for Georgia. When she was indecisive, even though she had come back to him, he still... So that's the person that he is. He is just that guy that you want around you, someone who's positive. So I'm happy with that. Zach and Lucinda. For Zach to say to Lucinda, you're always looking for offense. I might have said one or two nasty things about you on the first 2 days when we weren't friends. Tell her the truth. Tell her that the foundation of your relationship is based on a lie. That's what you should be saying. Instead of everything else you're coming up with, don't try and make excuses. You should have, if I were you, I would have laid the foundation for her to know what's coming. But hey, it is what it is. It makes for an amazing movie night. So the islanders start getting ready for the night. And it's interesting that Lucinda and Sav seem very relaxed for people who said some very nasty things about some of the girls and the guys. And also Zach and Trent are very chilled for people who know that they're going to be in trouble. So the islanders go to sit out. And you can see the divide in the villa. You can see the divide because you have the good guys sit on one side and then you have the three musketeers sit on the other side. So you have Zach sit in between Trent and Reed. That's to be expected because he's their puppet master. And then you have Nate, Kale, and Andy sitting on the other side. They are the cool guys in the villa. They are drama free. With the girls, it's the same. You can see the divide. The girls, yes, they're cordial with Sav and Lucinda, but I don't think they're that friendly. And so Tyra is sort of the middleman who sits in between them and the other four girls. So on the other side, it's Tyra, Nakia, Chloe, and Georgia. And movie night starts, and it's going to be amazing to watch. I can't wait. So the titles are released and I'm here for it. Enemy of the Nate. We know it's going to be people saying nasty things and behaving badly towards Nate. Burning after reading. Well, that's going to be dumping the bombshell onto the next bombshell. The Dark Nakia Rises. What do we think? Obviously, you know, all the nasty stuff she's been saying about Sav. To name the least, and what she said about Zach, but that's the truth. The Trentonator, I don't get it. Okay. You got Kale. Well, I think it's sort of like you got Male. I think that's what they're sort of aiming for. Curious Georgia. I think it's Georgia trying to explore both connections. And Natural Born Villas. Who's that? I don't know. I think they should have been a topic for Lucinda and Sav and all the nasty things they've said, but hey, let's wait and see. So unlike the UK version, whereby they give you a question and whoever wins, then you get to pick what you want to watch, they received a text message and it was girls first. And I like the fact that the girls decided. I think Sav and Lucinda were just being malicious because they pushed for Nakia's bet and they went for the Dark Nakia Rising. And I like the fact that her girl, you know, was like, Tyra's, let's just get it out of the way. And so it was a conversation between sort of Nakia and Andy on the boat. She did mention that she was in a couple with Kale. Kale had been a bombshell and they're going very well. They've agreed, you know, that they're very solid, and she thought she was solid until she met Andy. And so he asked her, are you prepared to talk to me? And she said, well, yeah. Even though they'd agreed not to talk to anyone else. And so when she returned to the girls, she repeated everything that was said. And she said, you know, the problem is he asked me that, are you open to speaking to me? And I said, yes. And then her friend Tyra asked her, so did you and Kale say you're open to speaking to other people? And she went, no. And so I think it was good for Kale because it came across like Nakia just saw Andy initially at the recoupling, as though she saw Andy, fell over Andy and didn't even consider Kale, but at least she mentioned Kale. But then for them to say 24 hours later and show Nakia and sort of Andy making out, I think Nakia has a better chemistry with Andy. I think Andy and Nakia get along way better, and I think Kale gets along way better with Tyra. So as much as they were in a couple, I don't think they were the best for each other, and I think it's a good thing that they sort of broke up and recoupled with other people. And for Sav and Lucinda to try and make a big deal out of it, they need to mind their own business. I hope their bit is coming because they did worse. At least, you know, Nakia's bit was about her couple. They didn't show us Nakia sort of calling out Sav and saying all the nasty things she said. So the guys pick Enemy of the Nate. I think that the producers were very sly. I think they should have put in more. We deserve to hear all the nasty things that Lucinda has done behind Nate's back. He doesn't need to go home to watch it. He should have been able to see it. And for Lucinda to suddenly take offense to what happened. And I am happy that Nate is vindicated because they show him telling Zach clearly. We all heard this when he said Lucinda at the moment is my number one. I know I like Tyra, I like Tia, I like Lucinda, but Lucinda is number one for me as of this moment. And Zach took it and ran with it and said, no, he said Tia's is number one because he was trying to get with Lucinda. And so for Lucinda to be lackadaisic in how upset she is doesn't make sense. I know in Love Island you need to be in a couple, but at times your dignity comes first before this show, or it has to at some point, because all the other girls were more offended for, you know, Lucinda, well, not really for Lucinda, but for Nate than, you know, she was. And she said, oh, Nate, you were telling the truth. I'm sorry. That's not good enough. She needs to wait until after movie night and she needs to take him aside and she needs to apologize for everything she said and done to Nate. And justice for Nate. I'm happy for this. And for Zach to start squirming and start looking for ways to get himself out of this doesn't make sense to me. He said what he said. He needs to stand on it. He needs to stand on it like a big boy. He had the audacity to say, I'm playing chess, he's playing checkers, so it is what it is. Well, now take responsibility for your actions. Take responsibility for what you said. Take responsibility for what you did. And for Lucinda to laugh and say, oh, that's how he got his first kiss, by lying to me. It's not funny. It really isn't. You need to hold his feet to the fire. You need to set standards for how you want people to treat you and not just allow people to walk all over you. I'm sorry, I don't buy that relationship. And I love the fact that Georgia said he's trying to gaslight us. And Eddie was like, yeah, that's the true definition of gaslighting. And it's like, oh my God, they are more upset for Nate. And Nate is just there. He's chill, he's calm. And all the girls can now see that they lost a good thing with Nate because they went on the impression of what Dumb and Dumber was saying instead of actually approaching Nate. And for Lucinda to say, well, I should have spoken to Nate. Well, Sherlock Holmes, what do you think? As soon as you heard it, your first thing before kissing Zach should have been to go to speak to Nate. But you decided to run around and kiss Zach and you thought you were getting, whatever you wanted. Well, you deserve the treatment you get from that dude. I like the fact that, you have Islanders have their person sort of speak up for them. So Nate asked for You Got Kale, and we all knew it was going to be sweet. So there was Nakia sort of shown talking to the girls in the changing room about her date with Kale and their conversation and the fact that they shared a kiss and how excited Tyra was for her friend, even though she really liked this guy. And the fact that she said, I'm taking a step back. And I think if nothing else, this shows Kale how amazing a girl Tyra is, because they show her conversation in the TP with Kale where she told him as well that I am going to take a step back because I think, you and Nakia deserve a shot. And I think that was a good thing that he explored his connection with Nakia, because had he not, he would have always thought what could have been. And now that he's explored his connection with Nakia, it didn't work out and he's with Tyra, he can put all his energy. That was a sweet clip because it was two people that really liked one another but decided to take a step back. You could see how hurt he was when sort of Tyra said to him, I'm taking a step back just because my friend really likes you and I want her to sort of have a shot and see if you guys can sort of bring about something. And one thing about Nakia is always going to be honest. I like the fact that she went, suddenly I am now team, Kale and Tyra, because she realized that these people gave up whatever connection they had for me to have an opportunity, and so I have to give them credit for that. So that was sweet. That was really sweet to see, and everyone really appreciated that. And the fact that Tyler wanted to cry and Kale wanted to cry, oh, I love them. Next, it's Curious Georgia, and this was to be expected. I remember saying this. Please say this in the comments again, because I remember saying that if anything had happened overnight with Georgia and Trent in the daybed, we would have seen it. And for the producers not to show us that anything happened outside of the hugs in the morning says a lot, because as Trent was telling people that Georgia was hugging him all night, they would have shown it. That she gave him mixed signals. Yes, she said it felt strange. I feel like she said a lot more than Trent is willing to admit, and Trent is going to make himself the victim. I don't know why. If she was honest enough with Nate and told him word for word everything, I don't see why she didn't tell Trent. She told Trent, but Trent is not going to own up to the fact that she told him that this ain't it. Nate is happy with what happened because it confirms what she said to him. Yes, she kissed him. It's not like she solicited the kiss on the terrace with Trent. Trent is the one who started off like playing a game and then ended up asking for the kiss. And still in the morning, Zach is saying, oh, but you kissed him. They did not kiss. They hugged, and her hug was sort of standoffish because he is the one who was leaning into her and kept asking her, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? So he knew that things were not going the way he wanted them to go, because when they woke up, he was in a great mood. And then as the conversation progressed, you could see his balloon just deflate. So for him to pretend that he was played by Georgia, make it make sense. And the audacity that they want to justify that Georgia didn't like him or didn't find him attractive into saying, oh, it's her age or there's something wrong with her. No, she just didn't feel you. You were not, up to it. You didn't have what it takes to make her feel wanted, to feel loved, to feel cared for. So please sit down somewhere. Please sit down. I don't get it, and I don't get why Lucinda is now the voice of reason saying, oh, you weren't honest, you weren't truthful. Please shut up. Please. I normally try not to say, derogatory things, but she has bigger fish to fry. Lucinda needs to focus on her issues with Zach and leave Georgia alone. Please. Please. So the boys picked Burn after reading, and are we surprised with anything we saw? No. Reed has been playing the game. He's been looking for ways to maneuver and sort of keep himself safe in the villa, in the sense that when he realized that his coupling was in doubt, he's always chased the bombshell because he knew that the bombshell would always save him and they would get first pick. So if he's saved by the bombshell, then even if the public vote, he is immune to that. And he said that, and the guys knew who he was. Trent and Zach were feeding him and sort of encouraging him to continue with his bad behavior. It's shown that he played all the girls and all the things he said. And I do, on some level, understand where the girls are coming from, because their friends were eliminated because Reed played them. And for Chloe to say, you know, she's going to trust what she has with Reed, well, I think... yeah, I guess, as she said, let's see when the next bombshell comes in. I think, in my opinion, Reed should have taken this opportunity to say, I want to sincerely apologize to every girl that I've coupled up with. All I've been doing is trying to explore a connection. And sadly, there's been no spark, or there's been nothing that has sort of stood out in my coupling that has made me want to continue in that couple. And so I sincerely apologize to Kira, Abby, Tasia, and Chloe. I've forgotten the fifth person who he was coupled up with, for, you know, being the man that I am, and for not treating them or not respecting them or not being honest with them with how I was feeling. I want to apologize to them, and I hope they accept my most sincere apology. I don't think he should have just been smiling and just being sort of silly. And for Chloe to have to speak up on his behalf when he's there doesn't make sense. I know Chloe's backing herself, but I think she's backing the wrong horse. I think if nothing else, she should keep her eyes open and she should look out for the next bombshell. I think she would have been better off had she been with one of the three, Kale, and Andy, or Nate. They are the good guys. The other three are just there for entertainment. And for Sav and Lucinda to be the spokesperson for everybody and have the loudest voices in this situation that has nothing to do with them is shocking. And also the fact that Lucinda is more offended by Reed's, you know, performance than she is by Zach makes no sense. In my opinion, makes no sense. Am I satisfied with the clips that have been shown? No, I think some of these islanders have done worse. And so I believe that we should have been shown more. And so the final clip is Natural Born Villas. And for me, it showed bits that justified or vindicated certain people, but I wish they had shown more, because Abby was vindicated in the sense that they showed Trent saying that he would never bring Sav around his family or his friends because she's not Ed and is just beating a dead horse, so he's just doing it just for the sake of it. And this is a contradiction to him saying, oh, I want to choose Sav because I feel like there might be something we left there. No, you said it's beating a dead horse, so say it with your chest and stick with it. And Sav's face, the way she went from, you could see her processing her emotions. It was sad. It was really sad. I'm not a fan of what Sav and Lucinda have been doing, but I have the capability to empathize with someone who's heartbroken, because she's realized that as much as she's nurturing these feelings for Trent and she thinks that there is something there because he chose her just because he wanted to stay safe in the villa, and he knew that she was always going to pick her, not because he had any feelings or he had any hope of building anything with her if he's already said he's not taking her to his family. And then they showed Sav and Lucinda sort of bad-mouthing Nakia. I think they should have shown more. I think they should have. I think they deserved to show more, to sort of show all the girls how terrible Lucinda and Sav have been. And for, you know, Chloe to call them snakes, because they were making remarks under their breath when she sort of said she doesn't care about what happened, you know, before she came in with Reed and all the other bombshells. And so for her to realize that it's not just her and Reed that they're after everybody in the villa, and they're saying some of the most malicious things ever. I think this was shocking for Andy, because this sort of vindicated, in my opinion, Nakia, because Nakia was saying to Andy, you need to be careful of Sav, because Sav is very slippery and she's a snake, and you might be naive thinking that you're just exploring a friendship, but she has her intentions in regards to what she's saying and what she's doing. And then for them to show Nakia that I'm saying more or less, I back myself, I don't care about Sav, I'm just worried about the fact that she's a snake. And then to have Lucinda and Sav try to turn it on Nakia. doesn't make sense. To have them accuse Nakia of being a snake because she said this, well, she's calling them out for what it is. They are used to bullying people and saying things about people and nobody responding. And suddenly to say something about someone and have that person stand up for themselves and say, I will not put up with whatever you're trying to dish out, is shocking for them. And it was scary and they didn't know how to process that. And this is why they kept going on and on about, oh no, this, no, I'm not here for it. And then Zach was shown. I think the producers were too lenient with Zach in the sense that Zach has said and done a lot more malicious things in the villa. I wish they had shown everything or some of his worst stuff that he's done and said. Yes, they did show the bit about Nate, but I wish they had shown the bit about the guys plotting to sort of go after any girl that Nate was in a couple with. And the fact that they showed Zach saying he was going to train Lucinda and Lucinda's offended by it. And it's like, he's been speaking to you like dirt, like the scum of the earth. So for you to suddenly take offense after you were upset with somebody for not holding their partner accountable doesn't make sense. You've been enduring whatever Zach has been dishing you for the past 3-4 weeks. So please sit down somewhere. We don't want to hear it. And Zach to be offended by the fact that he's punching. He knows he's punching. He knows he is. He knows Lucinda comes with a bit of celebrity from Love Island UK, and that's why he wanted her. That's why he badmouthed Nate so that he could win her. So for him to suddenly be shocked and be upset, I think he's used to saying and doing whatever he wants and her just eating it up and not saying anything. So the idea that she had the guts to stand up to him and tell him that I will not accept this. This is unacceptable. You're punching, you're being silly, you're this. He's taking offense to it and he's sort of twisting it and turning it and making it her fault instead of saying to her, I'm so sorry for everything you've seen. I'm so sorry for everything I've said. My intention was never to upset you or to offend anyone. It's just at times I just say things before I think, and I will apologize to everybody that I've upset or everybody that I've hurt. That's all he should have said. And even the guys were calling him out, the good guys, Kale, Andy, and Nate were telling him, you need to stop speaking. You need to stop speaking. And he wouldn't. While you feel it in this moment and you're feeling it on your way to being single and to being eliminated out of the villa, I wish there were more clips. I don't know how many more clips are left. I want more carnage. I want more carnage because Zach and Lucinda, Sav, Trent, and Reed have been doing some of the most malicious things ever in the villa. So the idea that they're still there is shocking. I want everybody to know who they are in the villa because we the viewers have seen who they are, and hopefully this movie night has been enough to answer Lucinda's questions that why is Zach always in the bottom 3. Well, now you see what we see. Now you see what we see. You hear what we hear. Would you vote for that person? Make it make sense? Anyway, it was a great movie night. I am happy that Nate was vindicated. I'm happy that Georgia, yes, she wasn't explicit. The fact that Sav and Lucinda wanted her to tell Trent word for word, I do not need you. I am done with you. Why? Can he not read between the lines? He read between the lines, but he's trying to play victim. And also, I love the fact that everybody was able to understand why Kale came back and why, he chose Tyra and why Tyra chose him to recouple immediately instead of waiting to sort of decide later. So hopefully, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the rest of the clips. If they're going to show any of the remaining clips, I hope they do. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 19. Bye guys.